Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton, and we are back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we're doing Repeal Day whiskey releases from Starlight. How we doing?
Howdy, howdy.
It's a great day.
It's a great day.
It is a great day.
We have a new face.
Well, a new face to you,
Okay.
but Dan's been on the show probably, 3-4 times, Dan?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 times.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And,
Awesome.
and Dan's he's been to a couple of distillery interviews with me. We did Wilderness Trail
We did
and
Wilderness Trail, and we did.
John Rempe at it was Rebel Yell and all that Lux Row Distilleries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So-
Got a glass from them. Yes,
That's right, yeah. So
cool.
So
Cool.
Dan's been on the show a few times. I don't.
Alrighty.
No introductions needed. People they'll recognize the accent once he gets going. We'll
I
put
don't
it that
have
way.
an accent. Everybody else does.
Yeah, sure. You just keep telling yourself that, Dan.
Yep, I believe it. I believe it.
Rock and roll with it.
All right. So anyway, we are here with the Brocks and Dan, and we are going to drink through the 2023 Repeal Day releases, which are the Huber family estate bottles, and we have the bourbon and the rye. The bourbon is coming in at 126.6, and it's a 7-year-old bourbon, and the rye is coming in at 119.1, and it's 7.5-year-old. So let's dive into these bad boys, see what we think, and kind of go from there. So
Yeah, we're starting with the bourbon first, and these two picks are the overall family reserve choice.
right, they all have to agree on it, all three of them.
Yeah, this is the one where
Ted,
we've
Kristen,
heard
and Huber.
like, fights, shouts, cussing, who's better, all that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, we have to agree to disagree bullshit that typically goes on in your normal family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that, and it's probably even heightened because you bring a couple other people in from the outside to help pick it. Because you just can't just be just 3 or 4 people.
Dude, I love the nose on this thing.
I get a lot of black pepper.
There's definitely some pepper in there.
Nice vanilla, caramelly notes in there.
Yep. It's got a little bit of a rich baking spice in there too that I'm trying to grab a hold of.
I would say almost like I hate being generic like this, but it's almost like a baking soda. Like if you get around some baking soda.
I'm thinking more like in the off flavor baking spice, like ginger or
Yeah.
something like that. I will tell you, it's got some legs on it.
Yeah. And maybe.
Pool number 1. Who all's been in so far? Dan, you
I
been
think
in?
Dan.
Dan's already hit it.
No. I recently had some surgery, and my nose does not smell anymore. So
Oh, dear.
it's coming back.
Okay.
but it hasn't come back yet. So
All right.
I can't comment on the nose.
Okay.
But when everybody else gets into it, then we'll all comment on the taste.
Oh, no, you can go ahead and lead the way. I mean, if you've already got a couple of notes there that you think you're picking up, I've taken my hit now.
The first thing I felt was the proof. It just hit my palate and told me that this is not a low proof bourbon.
Yeah.
And Scott will tell you, I typically don't like low proof bourbons. To me, they're just like the whiskeys I grew up with. But after that, it hit the back of the throat very nicely. The flavor notes are I'm still trying to get those out in my mind. But one of the things I didn't notice was a big hug. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It went down a lot smoother than I expected it to for 126.
Absolutely.
It's got a little bit of a Kentucky hug there, but it's still staying well above the collarbone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like right there.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm getting the baking spice, but it's the funny
Absolutely.
thing is the pepper's not as coming through as much
No.
on the mouth as it is, those typical
note,
baking
yeah.
spices. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg.
Right. I think you kind of hit it on the nose a little bit, that ginger.
Yeah.
Where that spicy ginger part is kind of what I'm getting.
Yep. And I tell you, I'm getting a lot of tobacco and leather on this. It's got a lot of that
Yeah.
earthier notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to chime in there and say, as I was on the pull, after the second pull, that tobacco was starting to be a little bit more prevalent and just kind of like that little light leather chew on it.
Yeah, I just got the tobacco on the second pull that I had, and it's lingering
Yeah.
on the palate.
Oh, I would love to probably have this with a cigar.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Man, oh man. There's a fruit in there though that I'm trying to
know.
pick up.
I was thinking it was it would be a red fruit is what I was picking.
Yeah,
up.
it's like a cherry or something like that, but it's not quite cherry-esque. And if it is, it's more of that tart cherry.
I was almost going plum.
Man, wait, what's wrong with you, Barbara? You've been off mic about half the time already.
Sorry.
But it was. I
We
was,
miss you.
Okay.
I was almost getting a plum out of it.
I could see that. It's definitely a dark fruit. Mm-hmm. One of those red ones. I don't really want to add water because it's already got enough rye spice pop, and I'm afraid if I add water to it, it's just going to completely
Trash it.
I think it's just going to turn straight rye. It's going to be just pepper and spice and
Yeah.
filled greeny.
Yeah, I have no doubt that will make that pepper
I mean, if
pop.
Barbara's going to make us do it for science, we'll do it, but I really don't want to.
That pepper and spice is more prominent now. I just had another pull, and it's right there on my tongue, right in the back of my tongue.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sits there, which is nice. It just gives it a whole different profile.
It's got a great body, mouthfeel. It's got terrific color.
Yeah, the color to me is exceptional.
I wonder what barrel this was in. I wonder if it was a Kelvin or Canton or if it was a Sago Monroe. Or we know they like to play with their barrels a lot.
Okay. I'm not going to make anybody else do it, but I did. That nose, the pepper, that heat, that spicy disappeared.
On the nose or
On the
palate?
nose. On the nose. I haven't tasted it yet. Nick, do you want to smell
I'll
mine?
do it.
I'm impressed. How many drops did you
For
put in here?
science.
Because
I did about 3.
Okay, because you still have about an ounce in here left.
Yeah, I know. You made me a big pour.
I was about
Are
to
you
say
complaining?
No.
that was a Barbara pour from a non-Barbara.
Right?
I know. All right, I'm going to go
Yeah,
ahead.
the pepper does go off the
Yeah.
nose. But my initial fear is what's happening though. I'm getting a little bit more of the filled greeny type
Yeah.
nose on that profile, and the more of that rye's coming through. I will say it really, really mild out the overall flavor. I don't necessarily hate it with a
I
drop.
know.
The sweetness
that bad.
actually came out. You get a little
Yeah.
you get a little bit more of the vanilla, a little bit more of the caramel.
A little bit of the tingle of the tongue went away
Yeah.
from that proofage.
And I think I am getting a lot more of that plum now.
Yep,
That fruit is really popping, and I think it is plum.
yep. I still prefer it neat.
I do too. Absolutely,
if the-
but I think it's kind of neat to have a different.
I would think that this would, for some people, I think this might be one with one of those nice
Sitting on a
bourbon
block.
rocks.
Yeah, sitting on a block.
Yeah, to where early on you get
Yeah.
you get the good stuff.
You
and
get the
then
good
it
stuff,
kinda-
and then it just kind of mellows out.
Yeah.
Yep. But you're right. This would go perfect with a really, really good cigar
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
because the tobacco still reigns
Yeah.
true.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, as you said, the field greens, kind of like honeysuckle, just
Yeah.
a tiny bit of there. That sweetness is coming through, just with a couple drops of water.
Yeah, the water did take the pepper on the palate down just a little bit, and I just put a couple of drops in.
I'm going to finish mine off so that way
Yeah.
we can go back and nose it after the fact.
Revisit.
Yep. Rye. Got a rye, 7.5 years. I'll tell you what, dude. The Starlight ryes are just kind of one of my favorite things about Starlight, what they do. Especially love their finished ryes. That being said, I'm super excited about trying this one finally.
About say, if I could say that I miss trying something in my bourbon and drinking endeavors, was the Starlight Indigenous Rye release.
Oh, yeah, the Indigenous rye was good.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people, but I've never been able to find a bottle of
Yeah,
that.
it was tasty. I didn't buy one, but I was able to try it. All right, the nose, little filled greeny, a little bit of mint.
Yeah. I don't remember the mint the last time.
A little bit of that honeysuckle,
Yeah.
that sweetness coming through.
I would say it's almost like a honey sweetness. I mean, just like
Yeah.
almost like a step beyond just honeysuckle. Because
Yeah.
you get that honeysuckle is kind of that meld of sweetness with those field greens. But
Yeah.
this is actually prominent sweetness.
No,
which-
you're 100% right. It's more of a sweet smell, but there's still that filled greeny like nose that's coming through on it. Now, I've not tried it yet, so
Nope.
Carl lost a lung. Sounds like over there. He did his best. I'm not going to lie. He walked way off, and we probably didn't even really pick it up on the mic. He was like a champ,
Let's hope not.
but just I could still hear it. Oh goodness! Once again, the peanut gallery comes through. I just keep nosing this thing, man. It's just so sweet.
The one thing just took the first pull. This is extremely smooth. Now we are just coming off of a 126, and we're down
Exactly.
to a 119.
But yeah, this does it has a lot more smoothness, but you wouldn't think so for only 10 proof.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, even less than that is more like
Yeah, it's only 7.
6
Yeah.
or 7.
6. Okay.
Never said math was my strong suit either.
It's got a lot of that rye, like minty,
Yes.
like
Yeah. Not your favorite.
Even though my olfactory glands are coming back, I can smell the mint.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a completely different taste in the mouth. completely different than the
Yeah,
bourbon,
absolutely.
Yeah.
which is what I'd expect from a rye.
Yep.
But oh my gosh.
I don't.
know.
I don't mind the mint on this though, Nick. What do you think? You and I are both mint intolerant
Mint
in some
forward?
capacity, or we're mint intolerant. Like
Yeah.
even though I'm a mintin, I don't necessarily like mint on my bourbon, especially if it's like that pepperminty type mint. The spearmint, I'm okay. Andy's chocolate mint, like those are the mints that I can live with in that realm of mint.
And I'm about the same
If you
way,
ever
yeah.
give me a bourbon with an Andy's mint in it, I'm going to leave your house.
Dude, we've had some
We've had
chocolate,
some.
chocolate minty stuff that was delicious, but
She made it.
it
I
wasn't
heard
her.
that. I heard
No.
that podcast.
No. This was just bourbons that we were
Oh.
drinking. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't a cocktail that she or Sarah created because they
Speaking
both
of
create
which,
some neat
though,
stuff.
for Super Bowl, I created a thin mint.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah. So Nick, back to my original question. So this is definitely mint forward. It's not the mint that you and I typically go, oh, not my jam.
Right.
But it's close enough that it's fiddling with the.
It's walking that line.
It is definitely walking the line.
I don't want to know what he's fiddling with.
It's that
Hands up.
it's when the mint hits the old punching bag in the back of your throat, and it just kind of sits on there and hangs. You know,
Whatever you want to tell yourself, Scotty, I don't care.
that's
And you fit in right away.
sometimes these
Whoa,
mints.
let's relive that little one. Licorice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it just happens sometimes, and when you get that mint that just kind of just sits there and it doesn't let you enjoy the rest of the pour. That's where I get to where I'm like, and this one I'm in between on. I'm not hating it, but I'm still not 100% certain. But granted, I've only had 2 small pulls. I'm going back in for a third. Why finally we get Nick's opinion?
I'm about to say you're going on for a good while. Yeah, it is walking that line. As I said, it's not bad. It's getting that. What lingers most of all is more of that kind of rye spice tingle that you get on the tongue and the sides of your tongue. I really enjoy that, especially. Now, with that being said, I'm getting distracted by the cat
Sorry,
who's
I
apparently
know.
deciding to randomly hasn't played with the damn toy in 4 or 5 days. Decides right now to play with it.
All right,
Anyways.
Johnny Cash, keep walking the line. Let's talk. What do we got here?
All right. Back
Turning
to
into me, going into having Barbara stories over here between me and you.
So, I do think that there's a nice sweetness to the nose. There's a little less sweetness on the taste that I get, but I'm getting more field greens with a hint of mint than I am really getting like a hard spearmint. At least what I say is oppressive, like evergreen type spearmint. So those are the ones that are like absolutely crazy.
Pine, sprucey, mint.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like I said, we you and I typically venture in the same land of taste. So I dropped some water in here, so I'm kind of anxious because the nose definitely completely mellows out, which is weird. So I'm kind of
Especially for a rye.
for a rye. Yeah,
And I did it too.
I knew you did.
I can't help
I
myself.
followed the lead.
Now, something of note that we didn't really talk about was actually we kind of hinted on the color, but not
Yeah.
really much on it. The bourbon was coming in almost like a mahogany.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got a nice
Color.
rich, and it's like almost like a cherry wood. I think for
Yes.
the rye. The legs are just, on both of them. The legs are fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really, really hanging to the glass.
Yeah,
they're
they're
doing everything
beauty.
you want it to do.
I think that's really showing kind of that age coming through of it being out on the barrel and length of time spent in the barrel.
Length of time will give you that kind of a color every day of the week.
I'm gonna tell you what. This was a drop, though, Nick. This is fire. The mint is almost
yeah.
completely gone.
It's gone and it's almost shifted into like a baking spice
Yeah.
rye, which
Yeah.
I think both of us are
Yep.
on the same page
That
on.
sweet baking spice, right? The honey's coming through. Some of those baking spices.
Yep.
It's not pepper either. You get like
No.
that nice rich, and it's like cardamom and
Clove.
nutmeg and clove.
Clove, yeah.
To your point about without the drop in it, it's sitting in the back of your tongue and the sides. With a couple of drops, it just went right through.
Yep.
Yes.
It,
No.
Yeah.
it's still you still taste
You
it
still
going
feel
through.
it going.
It's going, but it's not lingering there.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You're not
That's what
getting the
she
tingle and you got to let it linger, right? Yeah, it's not on the sides anymore. Now,
or let it go straight through.
Can I please come back again?
Absolutely.
but say if you're used to Scott's humor, that's pretty much it. What
I
it
am,
is around
I am
here.
kind of used to Scott's humor.
In which case, come on over.
Man,
I know.
this is
I think this is a rocker.
Definitely a drop. Yeah, a drop or a rock for sure.
Now, Barbara, you're kind of quiet on this.
I am quiet on this.
This is weird because like Barbara's known. We've actually had podcasts called Barbara's Rise. She is a
Bar rye.
yeah.
Barbara.
Oh, that's what it was. Bar
I'm not
rye.
going there. Nuh-uh. I just met the woman. No idea.
It don't matter.
It really doesn't.
Nope.
Worst things you do is cuss you out or just kind of punch you in the shoulder. That's about a length of
Yeah.
what she does.
Or you get the real weird look. Which
Or
is
the
what
real, yeah.
Not below that?
Yeah. Or the finger.
Listen, she already drank 3-4 ounces of bourbon over there.
Exactly. Not my fault. Somebody else poured it for me.
Fair enough.
All right. So we still need your opinion.
Ironically enough, I like the bourbon better.
You like the bourbon better?
I do.
I'm not gonna lie. I like
I
the bourbon
do.
better too.
Yeah.
I
But
just
for a rye person,
yeah.
I just think it hits on so many of those levels
Right.
of what I enjoy in a rye. And I mean, I love bourbons too. Do not get me wrong. But I think because it's got that extra, like that pepper and that ginger and that extra kick, there's something about that bourbon that just hits so much for me.
Yeah. I'm passing around the Glen that was the bourbon originally. Like,
Oh, hello.
man, it's just rich tobacco.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's just
my
rich.
gosh.
Like yeah.
Oh, I
tobacco,
know. I've
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Tobacco and leather.
Yeah, tobacco and
Absolutely.
leather and like that
gosh.
nice caramel note.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's a nice, sweet caramel note.
And the rye is still the rye. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still mint. It's
Yeah.
still everything else.
Yeah. That bourbon, though. Whew.
So yeah, I'm with you, Barbara.
Okay.
I'm definitely preferring the bourbon. I want the bourbon neat. If I'm
Yeah.
gonna drink the rye, I'm probably gonna put it on a rock or put a couple of drops and let it do its thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Nick,
I can do I'm in favor of the bourbon. I would do the bourbon neat, maybe with one of the bourbon balls. You know,
Okay.
nice big
Yep.
rock in it to slowly meld down. Because
Gotcha.
after we had a couple drops in the bourbon, it did modify the profile a little bit to
Yep.
where it was still good, but just a little different.
yep,
So-
Dan,
I got to say that I think I like the rye a little bit better.
Okay.
Only because I don't know, it just hit the palate a different way. It didn't linger as much as the bourbon did, especially after you put a couple of drops of water in it.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit smoother. It doesn't have the hug that and I said before that the bourbon didn't have a hug, but this has none.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
None at all.
super smooth. It's
Super
definitely super smooth.
Super smooth. This had a little bit of a hug, and I think Scott pointed that out. But you know, if I was going to be drinking, I would drink the bourbon neat. I would drink the rye neat. But if I wanted to kind of calm down what I was doing for the night, I'd probably put a little ice in the bourbon.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. So
All right.
you're neat on both. You prefer the rye, and the rest of us prefer the bourbon, but we prefer the rye with a little bit of water.
I prefer it neat.
Oh, you prefer the rye neat? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't mind the spice?
No.
In the
She
extra
likes the mint.
I don't mind the mint one bit. I like mint.
Your wife's a weirdo, dog.
I know.
Well, we knew that. We knew that a very, very, very long time ago.
So we're not split. I mean, we're a split camp in the retrospective. We got 3 bourbons and 1 rye, but the things that we all like about the rye is what we like about the rye.
Yep.
The things that we liked about the bourbon is kind of what we liked about the bourbon.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's just a preference on mouthfeel and heat, I think, is
Yeah.
what really kind of led Dan down the road that he was on. So.
I do. I agree.
So I think that's our episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk. If you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook, the Instagram, or the X. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you get those episodes as soon as they go live on Sunday morning. You can also email us any questions at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. This is Scott, Nick, Barbara,
And you looked right at me.
and Dan signing off. Peace.
Peace out.
Prost.